and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and this unmissable bright yellow thing behind me with the Scorpion badge is none other than the new Abarth 500e Scorpionissima.
Ah, bellissimo. Yes, he's right. It's an all-electric Abarth that basically comes with a bit of a roar. Come, let's have a look at this. Now, the Abarth 500e Scorpionissimo, yes, I know Matthew says it a lot better than I do, is actually limited to 1,949 units. And that is because, and I should do a pop quiz here, but is because the Abarth was actually founded in 1949. So you can see the correlation. But that makes this very special. And it's special in many ways, mainly down to its looks and its uniqueness, but also down to some little clever electronics that go on inside, but we'll get to that in a while. But looking around the front here, it's very much more aggressive. So the Abarth replaces where a Fiat sign would be, and you can see the Scorpion here, or Scorpione, and you can see it's very much a uniquely sort of aerodynamic front, but it is actually a bit of a flycatcher, so beware, you'll probably have to clear it up. Probably going to save that for my arachnids. The lights here are very unique as well, so you've got a top look here, and it looks very much like an eyebrow, an eye, and they're all LEDs. Very much a low front, but very aerodynamic and very cute. Now, it's when you get down the side, you get to more of the specifics about this limited model. And actually, well, first off is the color. We have what's known as the acid green. There's also a poison blue in this Scorpionissimo. I love saying that, limited edition. There's also 3 others in the normal Abarth 500e. But yeah, if you're looking for attention, this is one hell of a color for that. As you carry on down here, you've got 18-inch wheels here with another Scorpion stuck on it. There's some indicators there, but now you get into some of these Abarth decals. So you got the Abarth down here and this Scorpionissimo Scorpion stuck on the side. Up the top here we have a sunroof, which actually doesn't open up, or it's more of a panoramic roof. And as for size, we feel it's probably just a little bit wider than the norm, but we'll probably double check on that, but it certainly feels that way. Round the rear here we've got a nice big protruding roofline spoiler, some privacy glass here. Abarth has replaced the 500e badge, so there you go, and we've got a personalized number plate. The rear lights here are LEDs and quite sparkly, and the exhaust system, oh, there is no exhaust system, you're right, and that is because it's an EV. But in the boot here, aside from this massive parcel shelf, is a little sound generator under here, and that is one of its party tricks. Now, behind this flap you get your AC and DC charging for the 42 kilowatt hour battery. And I know that's not very big, but then it is a bit of a towny car. And in terms of range, that will give you a WLTP of 253 kilometers, allegedly. We haven't quite got there, but there you go. That in turn powers the single motor up the front, which is good for 113 kilowatts of power and 235 newton meters of torque. It's a bit peppy and it will spin the wheels when you need it to, but overall this is just a nice city going car. Very pleasant. Actually no, it's a little bit fierce. Anyway, speaking of things that are fierce, Matthew's inside and he'll show you what's going on in there.
Fierce is certainly a word that the designers of this interior of this Abarth 500e have certainly considered in their brief when piecing this together, because what they've gone for is a very performance, very racy sort of outlook to the inside of this car. And I'll start with the seats firstly, because they are racing inspired units, and as you can see they are a mix of Alcantara and leather. Actually really nice all around. You've got an embossed Scorpionissima logo in the headrest. You've got Abarth in the sort of backrest of the seat, and there's like a scorpion sort of emblem going through the seat back over here. Worth noting as well that because this is the Scorpionissima special edition, it's got contrast stitching, which is available, or rather which shows both in the acid green and poison blue colors. And that contrast stitching actually extends onto the door panels as well, where you can see the soft inserts there are sort of finished with the same contrast stitching. Alcantara once again is present across the dashboard in this Scorpionissima edition. Feels really nice to touch over there like so, but for the most part it is pretty much scratchy plastics all around, whether it be top up there or the bottom there. It's sort of all scratchy plastics. A couple of nods to the Abarth and the Fiat 500's history specifically as well exist around the cabin. In the little door handles, if you have a look inside, it says made in Torino, and there's a little logo of a classic Fiat 500 in there. You've also got underneath the phone tray over here a little emblem of the Torino skyline, again the home of Fiat's Mirafiori plant, and then after that you've got this sort of loop that goes around, which almost looks like the old Lingotto test track on the rooftop of the building. And if you look behind the screen, you will actually see a stylized 500 emblem hiding back there. Apart from those things, they have also thought about not just the heritage bits, but also the practical bits, because you do have split door cubbies down the side. You have a decent sized sort of cubby hole down there with your 12-volt socket, your USB-A and USB-C charging ports as well. You've got a under armrest storage cubby over there, decent sized glove box, and then a pop-out cup holder like so for your coffee cup, and then a nice mix of sort of buttons and touch capacitive features. While this central infotainment screen remains the same as the one you get in the 500e, it's obviously been given a tune, if you like, for the Abarth specific functionality. So as you can see in this home layout here, you've got a display graphic over there of the actual Abarth 500e. You can also look closely and you'll see the little Scorpionissima logo on there as well. So how about that for a level of detail? As you can see there, it's a split screen, so you've got your EV consumption and sort of detail there, as well as your audio input there. Also note that on the home screen, it's got seat heaters for both driver and passenger, as well as a whole bunch of functions and including a drop-down menu like so. However, all the functionality is really on this side, as you can see. So in terms of connectivity, you've got your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you've got air conditioning, which is controllable either through the screen here or through the set of buttons below, navigation, phone connectivity, and then vehicle. If you go down, you can see it presents as an Abarth 500e there as well, which is quite cool. Over here, you can see several different metrics about the car, as well as schedule things like your charging times and stuff like that. Under performance, you can see more technical gauges there, like the level of the 12-volt battery, the larger battery level, the power you're using. You can see tops out at 113 kilowatts there, as Dave said. And then you can also start using the drag race monitor here, which will then record your 0 to 60 and 0 to 100 times. Now, as you can see, the screen in front of the driver, you've got a very sort of racy performance-like gauge in front of you, and that is actually the speedo going across there, which you can also have in the middle. Also note how you got the power and charge gauge on the right side. Top right, you've got your gear mode as well as your E mode, as they call it. And then on the left side, you've got an actual percentage bar of your battery as well as the range. This, of course, can be changed by using the controls on the steering wheel. So if I take a step back to this, and I can change the view on the screen by going through like so, using the trip. My cruise control, you can go next and take a look at your tire pressures and things, your audio input, navigation, and lastly, in the settings menu, so within vehicle settings and then within display, if I press OK, you will see a whole bunch of options pop up. The one you want to look at is electric features, and then down the bottom you have external sound, which activates that sound generator. So if I press OK there it is. Now, that isn't the only sound that this car makes, and rather the only loud sound this car makes, because if you use the controls which are behind the steering wheel on the right side, that's your volume buttons, turn that up and you will unleash the special JBL sound system that has been made for this car, and does sound pretty good when you turn the volume up. Worth noting that the steering wheel itself is a really nice unit to hold, made with Alcantara. You've got leather on the top there, a central marker again in that poison blue color, and then of course a flat bottom with the Abarth logo. So it's very much a sporty feeling, not to mention the sheer size of the thing. Anyway, let's flick that external sound on and take this Abarth 500e for a drive. Now, here on Tarmac Life, we're no strangers to Italian cars, and you know the rules, and so do I. They must be impractical, they must be silly, you know, that sort of thing, but they must be fun. And you would have thought with the move to electricity that Abarth, Fiat would have thought, actually, we're going to stop making the Abarth 500, because what we loved about it was the noise, was, you know,
Hilariarity?
Yeah, hilariarity, that's it. That, basically. And so then what they did was basically decide, no, actually, we're not going to give it up, and all we're going to do is make the Abarth 500 electric, and that's what we have here.
But what they've done is given it a soundtrack, so an exhaust soundtrack, a motor soundtrack, and it is quite hilarious. You can't help but smile when you start it up, and it sounds like a fossil fueled Abarth, and then when you put your foot down on the accelerator, you hear the engine go, or the generated engine go, and it's just funny. It's very involving. It's a really, really nice touch.
That's exactly it. You can sit in park, for example, with the sound generator on and just keep revving away, and it'll keep piping up with noise and sort of fake revs, if you like. And what they've done is effectively taken the soundtrack from a 500 Abarth, that 1.4 liter turbo with its record Monza exhaust, and then piped it through a speaker in this Abarth 500e. And I didn't actually realize that, yes, it's loud in the cabin in here, but it's even more so on the outside.
So it is a double whammy. You get this acid green color which attracts so much attention, and then it actually makes a sound as well. So it is the best of both worlds if you really want to go look at me, and really it is a look at me situation.
And it's really interesting because I've been driving this today quite a bit, and I actually drove it to a classic Italian car meet where there were old Lamborghinis, Maseratis, Ferraris, Alfa Romeos, Lancias, the lot. And I drove this right down the middle of the promenade, and it turned heads even in a car park filled with some absolutely beautiful Italian cars. And then within minutes I had people crowding around asking me about this, asking me to rev the car. It's so strange how this Abarth instantly sort of brings a smile to people, and I had people who came up to me and just couldn't stop smiling, honestly. It's unusual
for people to laugh with you rather than at you, isn't it? Anyway, the fun and the games are all there, and actually even the handling is really good. It's quite a sprightly car. I forgot to mention that it's a 7 second 0 to 100 roughly, so you've got a nice sporty little hatch that does handle and hug the road very well because all the weight's down low, but does come with a few issues, and that beautiful soundtrack is really good unless you're on a motorway, and then it feels like it's stuck in third gear and it just drones on and on and on, and you have to switch it off. And the joy of it, you can't just switch it off. There's no button just to switch it off. You have to pull over. Then it sort of pops up on the screen, so you can't even see the screen when you're driving. It has to pop up. You have to stop. Then you pop up. You go through all the menus, and then you can switch it off. So it is quite a palaver.
And as I just showed you earlier, it's very hard to actually find the menu because it doesn't make any sense, obviously, where it's located. But at the same time, after a point of motorway driving especially, it gets so booming that it does your head in, and as Dave said, you do need to turn it off.
Thankfully, it's not a motorway car, really. It's a town car. It's a fun around town car, particularly because even the cruise control is not adaptive. So it is, as I found out on a long run, it's like it's getting closer and closer to the car, and it didn't stop. So I had to actually brake. But there you go. The other good thing is the fact of the drive modes. You can flick up through here, and you can go into your three different drive modes, and what those drive modes are, because it is a one pedal driving situation when you're in, what do they call it?
So there's Scorpion track, you also have Turismo, which is your normal if you like touring
and that's
mode.
Got the hard one pedal driving thing.
That's right.
Then you go into Scorpion.
You also have a Scorpion
Street,
yep.
And then a Scorpion track, and the higher up the speed scale you go, the less the one pedal driving is. So top tip, go for the track mode.
And the interesting thing is, I found at least that using the track mode doesn't seem to actually eat into your range that much as one would expect, for one. And secondly, it's probably just as well, frankly, to use the one pedal option, because the pedal box here is, well, let's be honest, it's not the best. The two pedals are quite close to each other, and if, like me, you like your left foot to be out of the way on a footrest, doesn't really work out. The footrest sort of sends your foot behind the brake pedal, and yeah, it's as hilariously impractical as you can imagine an Abarth would be.
As you'd hope an Abarth would be, absolutely.
And the funny thing is, it's that exactly, I think, which makes this car such a laugh and such a talking point and all of that, is its character. You would have thought that by moving from the petrol engine to an electric Abarth that it would have lost its character, but somehow they've managed to retain it. You know, it makes you laugh, it makes you smile, you get looks everywhere you go. If you were a private investigator, this is not the car to get, let's be honest, especially if you want it to be a good one. The other thing is, it's so much fun, it's hilarious, it's an absolute hoot, but it becomes a little less fun and a little less hilarious when you introduce that price tag into the equation.
Price tag, or whatever it is. Look, near 80 grand is quite eye-watering, but I don't know, if you've got the money and you've got the joy and you want to laugh, I mean, what's money without fun? And it is quite a hefty price tag for a vehicle that has a very small battery is probably the size of my thumb. The good news on having such a small battery is that it doesn't take long to charge it up. So you can have your near 200-ish kilometers of range for, I think it's about $20 or something. It's really quite easy to top up.
And the other good thing about having a smaller battery and keeping the weight down is the fact that then it becomes so much more fun to drive around corners when you do want to put your foot down like this and then just swing the car around corners. It is, combined with that short wheelbase and all of that, is just so much fun to drive on a back road.
So there you have it, the new Abarth 500e Scorpionissima, something along those lines anyway. I've just ruined a whole language, but they haven't ruined the car. Actually, they've made it so much better and so much, look, smile-inducing. We are both smiling. It's just the eye-watering price, I think, is the big thing. It's a lot of money for something that does make you smile, but then what's the price of a smile? And just the joy of driving this vehicle. It's a thumbs up, with a caveat that maybe it is just a bit too pricey.
I'm glad that Dave finally got the Italian right on this one, just like I think Abarth have got the recipe right on this one. They've kept the fun side, the hilariously impractical side, but yet it still has character, even though it's an electric car. I mean, did I just say that?
And actually grabbed so much attention, so Matthew's going to be driving it all week. There you go. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao!